Well, how is the coronavirus affecting agriculture in Arkansas? Joining me is Lauren Waldrip. She's the executive director of Arkansas Rice. She has been in the fields and on the phones. Lauren, let's just hop right in and let's talk about what you're hearing from your members. Assess for me what your members are hearing and doing in terms of handling this coronavirus.
Sure. Well, there's lots of different pieces to this puzzle for us. First of all, rice is a staple in pantries here domestically in the U.S., but also around the world. And so our mills are operating at capacity, many of them, which is 24/7, just to make sure that we continue getting a product on grocery store shelves. From a safety standpoint, our mills are taking extreme measures to make sure that they take care of not only their employees, but also their communities. And so I think it's important to note that these employees are accepting a risk every day to go to work to do that, to continue putting a product on grocery store shelves. A lot of times we talk about the risk that farmers accept putting a crop in the ground. Markets are volatile, temperatures and weather are unpredictable, not to mention trade. And so, again, the risk that these employees are taking to go in and produce a safe and quality food supply is something that we need to talk about.
Well, Arkansas, as you mentioned, is a leading rice producing state. Tell me how you think Arkansas is doing in terms of the efforts compared to other states, not just related to rice, but agriculture as a whole.
The governor has created this task force, and I think that that's really helpful, or it's going to be really helpful, this economic task force, as we hopefully get to go back to business as usual. And I will say we've seen our counterparts in other states, whether that's rice producing states or just agriculture in general, having issues with something as simple as going to work. And as you know, agriculture is critical infrastructure and essential, but we are not having that problem in Arkansas. And I think that's largely due to the governor's task force. To the governor's leadership. I think we also have a valuable resource in the University of Arkansas Division of Agriculture. I know that they've put out lots of different things. Also, the Arkansas Agriculture Department. And so I think these are very valuable, and our situation is not something that we take for granted here in Arkansas. We know it's a great advantage.
As a follow-up to that, Lauren, we're in the beginning of planting season here. We're encouraged to be outside. It's safer to be outside. Where does planting season fit into all of this?
Sure. So the good thing about rural farm communities is that it's not hard to be 6 feet apart. Our folks are trying to plant right now, although it's very wet. The progress reports told us last week that we were at 23%, which is a little bit behind, obviously due to that precipitation. I would guess that now they're at about 30%. USDA is projecting that we'll have about 1.4 million acres planted in rice this year. We're seeing lots of folks switching from corn or beans to rice, largely maybe due to prices. Prices of rice are good right now, knock on wood. And also, if you'll recall, last year we had over 500,000 acres of prevent plant in rice. That was acreage that couldn't be planted due to the water in those conditions. And so we're hopeful that we can get a crop in the ground and go from there.
Well, you mentioned the coronavirus, you mentioned the weather, you mentioned trade. When do you think farmers are going to see some relief? It feels like it's been several years where they've either been getting a double whammy or a triple whammy based on some of these factors.
Sure. Well, we know with COVID, it's an ever-changing climate. And so as far as relief goes, we are receiving new information each day with each press conference. There's local and state regulations, not to mention federal, obviously, as well. There have been a couple of packages that we're seeing working their way through Congress. There's about $16 billion that are immediately available. Row crops will only see about $4 billion of that. And that won't go very far. Last Friday, USDA announced the rollout of that package. That'll take some time. They won't be able to send it to OMB until next week. And so that's a very extensive process. But I think it's important to note that farmers don't want to rely on a stimulus package. They don't want to need safety net programs that fortunately do provide them a lot of security, but they would much rather have new trade deals and new markets. And so we're going to continue to push for those. But what will the world of food and nutrition and agriculture even look like post COVID-19? That's hard to say. I think whatever it looks like, it is safe to say that our rice industry will be there to grow and to mill and to distribute a safe and affordable food supply.
She's Lauren Waldrip with Arkansas Rice. As always, Lauren, thank you for your insight.
Yes, sir.